Hi, and welcome to the Coming Strength and Fitness Fitcast. I'm Jill, coach and owner of CSNF, and I'm here along with my team to take your fitness experience to a new level. In each episode, we'll bring you helpful conversations with our coaches, members, and guests to provide additional value to your gym experience and understanding to our mission at CSNF to change lives through fitness. Hope you enjoy the episode.
Welcome back to the Coming Strength and Fitness Fitcast. In the studio, we have some total strangers who you have never heard of. We have head coach Jordan B. Jordan, I don't think I've ever said that before, and I apologize. Your name's just Jordan. Jordan, how are you doing today?
Fantastic.
You may, in the background, hear some of Jordan's lunch because he's finishing up, and me and Jill are just giving him the stink eye as he's finishing his lunch. But, hey, there's no judgment
Tell
here
you what,
at
Can't
all.
record at
Cabbage.
noon and expect me not to eat.
That cabbage smells great.
That's a good point. Jordan, what are you eating?
This is crock pot teriyaki lemon pepper chicken with sautéed cabbage and white rice.
Good
Wow.
night. Bougie.
Yeah.
I like it. It's
If you're
kinda
gonna
making me
meal
hungry.
prep, man, you have to meal prep well.
Do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should.
if you just meal prep bland chicken.
That's true. That's
No,
true.
I'm not
Nobody
gonna
wants
eat that.
We're actually going to take a pivot and not talk about recovery today. We're going to talk about meal prepping and food. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. Yeah.
901.
Yeah, exactly. Jill, hey. Hey.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
What is the first word that comes to your mind when I say the word podcast? Go.
Fun.
Fun. Jordan?
Informative.
Informative.
That's the difference in our personalities.
It is.
And a
actually.
different way your guys' brain works. I'm glad you said that because we are talking about recovery. This episode is dedicated all to recovery. And that is such a big term. Recovery can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. When many people hear recovery, they may just think of rest or days you're not working out. But I think you guys would agree too, that recovery is so much bigger than that, than just simply rest. So before we dive deep into what recovery actually is and why it's so beneficial and why it should be intentional in how we manage our health and fitness, let's just first broadly define recovery. Jordan, I'll kind of kick it to you on when someone's like, hey, what do you mean when you talk about recovery? What would you say?
I kind of come at this from a training perspective. So it is the opposite of working out, as odd as that sounds. Working out is when you break your body down, and recovery is when you build your body back up. So kind of thinking
Simply
about,
put.
coming back to baseline.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Jill?
Same. Yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of giving your body the amount of time that it needs to recover from whatever training regimen you use.
So obviously sleep is super important because whether you've heard this or not, that sleep is the time that your body actually recovers. It's the time that it produces all the human growth hormones. It recovers your muscles when you have proper hydration and nutrients, which is why your nutrition is so important. That is a time that your body recovers. But there are things when it comes to, sore muscles or an injury that you can recover, or you can rehab that a little bit differently to help your recovery. So we're going to kind of get into a lot of those topics. But first and foremost, when we talk about recovery, let's talk about sleep, because that is a very, very big foundational pillar of recovery. So Jill, let's turn it to you first. Let's talk about sleep.
Okay.
Why is sleep so important, especially in the conversation of recovery?
I think it's kind of interesting to talk about sleep, first of all, because it's an activity or an action that it's not an option. Like, we were actually designed to rest and sleep. And that is how our bodies recover best. Not just your body, your brain, all of your systems, everything recovers when you're at rest. So anytime you're in a deficit for that, you're going to be at a deficit in terms of your recovery rate. So sleep falls into one of those super important buckets. It even affects your metabolism, your ability to lose weight, your ability to gain muscle, your ability to focus, to think clearly. So anytime you're in a negative deficit for sleep, all of those different things are, and we've all experienced it. I mean, when you have a newborn, you go through, months and months of sleep deprivation.
Story of our
mean,
lives.
Yeah. A lot of people are in that place right now. And it's just really hard. It's really hard to think clearly. It's hard to train, consistently and to get the performance that you want out of your training. So it's just ridiculously important that you get, and honestly, the amount of sleep everybody needs varies a little from body to body. But I believe the average is about 8 hours for me personally. I perform and work best when I have 9. So
Jordan, how does sleep play into recovery?
I mean, it's everything that Jill just said. It is physical. I mean, it has to do with your nervous system, your muscles, your joints, but it's also your nervous system and your hormones as well. So all of that is affected by sleep, and there's no real way, kind of like Jill said, there's no real way to get around it. I mean, if you are sleep deprived, you are going to have health issues, whether you think you have them or not. There's a lot of people that say, like, oh, I'm fine on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. They're probably not fine. Just going back to our conversation about baseline, they probably just don't know what it feels like to be fully recovered or operating on 7-8 hours of sleep.
Right.
Now, if you do have consistent sleep, you can get around it a little bit. Like your circadian rhythm will adjust. The amount of time you'll be in deep sleep and REM sleep will kind of adjust. But people need sleep. It's kind of,
yes.
It's one of those things where I would liken it to say you have a broken leg and you're just like, well, I'm going to fix this broken leg by massaging it and icing it, and I'm not going to sleep for 3 months. It's like, you're not going to recover that broken leg, right? That's not going to happen. So sleep is just kind of foundational. It affects everything. And I think, we haven't known that much about it for a long time, and I don't know if we're going to get into this on this podcast. I don't want this to be all about sleep, but a lot of the modern things in our society are designed to make us not sleep well.
Phones, screens,
light pollution, noise pollution.
A light bulb. I mean,
yes.
You can pretty much stay awake the whole night because now, simply light.
Yeah, all of that is designed to, well, not designed to, but it has the effect of
it's a negative implication of it.
Not sleep well.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to fight back a little bit. I mean, I'm big on sleep hygiene and sleep environment. But going back to your question, I mean, sleep is kind of foundational. I mean, we'll talk about kind of that pyramid that I stole from RP Strength. And on the very bottom is just the amount of training you're doing, like your training volume. And right above that is passive recovery, which is the biggest one is sleep.
Right.
There's no amount of supplementation, active recovery, foam rolling, therapeutic massage that can overcome sleep.
Nothing outdoes it.
I don't want to spend too much time on sleep, but I do want to emphasize the point that sleep has in recovery, which is why we're talking about this. I love if you follow CrossFit Games athlete Matt Frazier, I remember him. He had a quote or said this one time that if sleep was a supplement, it would be banned because of how much it improves your performance or how much it impacts your health and fitness. That if it was like, here's a sleep pill and you're going to get all the benefits that you would in a normal 8-hour consistent sleeping schedule, it would be a performance enhancing drug and how much it changes the game.
Oh, it definitely enhances performance, hands down.
Right.
It's just a lot of people aren't dedicated to keeping a consistent sleep schedule, so they never see the benefits of it.
So really quick, let's just get practical and then we'll kind of move on. What would be for you guys personally one sleeping tip that has really helped you or something that you would tell someone else if they're like, hey, I just either have a hard time falling asleep or I just don't really prioritize my sleep or something that can help me fall asleep or get better sleep? What's just one simple tip that you could tell them when it comes to sleep?
Create a routine, having a sleep routine. Okay, I'm going to start winding down at 9. I want to be in the bed by 9:30, reading a book, lights out by 9:45, and keeping a consistent routine will just kind of prep and prime your body for sleep every single night. Even if you're not going to be going to bed at 9:45 on a Friday night, the other 6 nights of the week, your body is just kind of preparing for sleep mode.
Yeah. Jordan?
Yeah, I would say track it. You took the first one.
The routine.
I could talk a lot about sleep environment and light pollution and all that. But I would say get something like a Whoop, like a wearable. The Whoop is really good, and it comes with an app that basically has a journal as well. So it's kind of like diet and nutrition, right? If you don't know what your baseline is, that's one of the biggest things that shocked me about wearing the Whoop was I thought 8 hours in bed meant 8 hours of sleep, when really 8 hours in bed is like 6.5 hours of sleep. So people that say, I'm in bed from 10 to 6, you're probably not sleeping the entire 8 hours, right? Especially if you don't have that sleep environment set up well. So I would say track it and figure out what your baseline is.
Jordan, on the spot, how many hours of sleep did you get last night according to your Whoop?
I believe it's 6 hours and 25 minutes.
Oh man,
Let's
he is
see.
under the threshold.
6 hours and 2 minutes.
6 hours
and 2 minutes.
But how long did you spend in bed? Because it's crazy how your Whoop will tell you that.
7 hours and 36 minutes.
So people think, oh, I got 7.5 hours of sleep. No, actually, you got 7. Mine was I spent 8 hours and 48 minutes in bed last night, but I only got 7 hours and 16 minutes of sleep last night, which is crazy when you think about it. I've been doing this personal project of mine called Holo Health, where I look at health holistically and look at all the different aspects. But in that, I argue that the number one most important health habit that you can do is to sleep well, because your sleep is the only thing that impacts every other biological system in its entirety every single time. It impacts every single cell, every single biological process, your cardiorespiratory, your muscular endurance, your immune system, digestive system, nervous system, everything. It impacts everything.
That's why babies and kittens and puppies sleep so much.
Sleep so much. That's when you grow.
Yeah.
So I tell people the top 3 ones that I do is you prime your environment, minimize the stimulants, and have a routine. Those are the 3 simple ones. And we break it down even more. But let's keep going on when it comes to recovery. So Jordan, you said a phenomenal aspect of recovery is there's this thing called active and passive recovery. As you finish your bite of lunch that you're so eloquently avoiding the sound in this
Crock-pot
episode,
cabbage.
in this cabbage chicken lunch of yours, what's the difference between active and passive recovery?
So passive modalities are you're not taking action to do them necessarily. So that's kind of like stress management, sleep, relaxing. Yes, stress management is a practice. Like that's something you do, but it's kind of it's passive in that it's not like foam rolling or taking creatine or taking protein or going to get a massage. Passive modalities tend to be the more important modalities than the active modalities. So in other words, if you could choose passive or active, passive are the more important modalities.
Yeah. When it comes to all of this, what do you think are some common misconceptions that people believe, whether about recovery, about sleep, about some of those active and passive processes? What are some lies that you see people commonly like falling into that are really inhibiting some of their performance? Jill?
I mean, the only one that I can think of off the top of my head is people hear recovery and they think, oh, they are telling me to sit on my couch and watch Netflix all day and
That's
eat
good.
bonbons,
That's good.
but that's not recovery.
That's good.
That, I mean, maybe it could be once a year,
That's
but yeah, I
debatable.
think that's a common misconception that it's just literally laying around and doing nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's this thing called active recovery or recovery days that you're not just sitting on your couch watching Netflix eating bonbons, like you said. It's actually taking a walk with your family. I mean, it could be doing 20, 30 minutes of a mobility
Body work,
routine, body work, where
massage.
you're not stressing your muscular system or your nervous system like you would in a normal workout, but you're letting your body move the way it was designed to so that it still can stay primed for the week. But we can get into that a little bit more. Jordan?
I would say thinking that they can overcome the passive modalities with the active modalities.
Yes.
So in other words,
Yes.
if a client told me, hey, I'm really struggling with recovery, but they're only sleeping, 5.5 hours a night, but they're foam rolling for 30 minutes after the workout, I would rather them leave 30 minutes early and get 30 more minutes of sleep.
Right.
Like, again, you can't overcome the lack of sleep with foam rolling in a lacrosse ball.
So we're going off script really quick, but I think this is interesting. What is your guys' opinion on naps?
I have a very strong opinion.
I know
on
you
that.
do, Jill. Let's kick us off to you.
I like them, love them.
Why?
Want some more of them.
I've tried so hard.
So most days I will take a cat nap in the afternoon, anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. And it just depends on how tired I was going into it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I fall asleep, sometimes I don't, but I'm going to lay down and close my eyes for 10 to 30 minutes most days.
Really?
And I wake up and I feel focused and I feel refreshed and not groggy because I haven't let myself go to the groggy state of napping and ready to go for round 2 of the day.
Jordan, what is your opinion on naps?
I think they're great. I mean, especially if you struggle getting sleep throughout the night, they can kind of assist with you getting a little bit more of that passive. I personally, I'm such a sensitive sleeper that I can't just like nap in the middle of the day. Like I have to be in like a quiet room,
prime
no lights.
location.
Yeah, like people that can just go to their car and nap, I'm really jealous.
In college, I used to fall asleep at parties.
See, I think
Huh.
we're similar in the fact that we have a superpower that we can just sleep anywhere.
I would get on the sofa and be like, I'm a bit bored. Be out.
my wife tells me that when I stop moving, I just fall asleep. Like I can't just sit.
We know.
All right, well, it's not just my wife. Other people know that I have an issue, guys. Okay, this is confession. I'm coming out. I'm telling you I have an issue, but I'm working on it. But no, I am very pro nap as well. I mean, sometimes mine are 30 minutes, sometimes mine are 2 hours. That is a long time, but it really is not just, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to sleep, but it really does encapsulate another element of recovery. Let's move the page, turn the page a little bit, and talk about nutrition as Jordan is finishing his lunch right in front of us with this yummy cabbage lime
If he
broccoli
turns his back,
stew.
I'm going to take a bite of it.
I know. What role does nutrition play in our recovery, Jordan? I mean, Jill?
Huge.
Huge.
Just
How
toss that one up to me.
huge? Yeah.
I mean, sleep, yes. Nutrition, I'm going to put them on the same playing field. I'm going to put them
okay.
together. Because if you have poor
That's
nutrition,
bold.
yeah, if you have poor nutrition, all systems are not going to go. All systems, and I say poor nutrition is you're under eating, you're overeating, you're not eating quality foods, you're not eating the right quantity of foods, you're not eating at all, you're eating too much. I mean, so much of what goes into your body impacts the way that your body performs and lives. And I think it's, you can sleep 8 hours a night, but if you're, eating 1,200 calories a day and exercising for 2 hours a day, there's going to be some serious physical demands put on your body that you can't recover from without the proper nutrition.
Yeah, I would say the analogy is you have a battery. When you sleep, you fill that battery, you recharge the battery, but what you put into your mouth, like what you're eating, is what you build that battery with, right? It's the difference between like an old crappy battery and a brand new
fresh,
Elon Musk lithium
Tesla
ion
battery.
Energizer battery, right?
Yeah.
So it affects, that's literally the material that your body is made of, and that your body runs on. It's just like race fuel is, clean foods, non-processed fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, lean meats, and crap fuel. I don't know what a crap fuel is. Ethanol? Is that a crappy fuel? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's McDonald's, right?
Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
You feel terrible,
Right.
and you don't operate well.
So would you agree that if you get really good sleep but have poor nutrition, your recovery is going to not be great?
It'll definitely be limited.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Well, what about the other way? What if your nutrition is amazing but your sleep is not? What do you think?
So the way I kind of preface it is they are very, very close, but I personally say
I
that
think
sleep is
yeah.
foundational and then nutrition is closely behind. But just because sleep, I literally could not do what I do if I got 4 hours of sleep because
Yeah.
I'm so wrecked. But if I had McDonald's for 24 hours, yeah, I would feel groggy and yeah, I'd feel disgusting, but I'd still be able to
Different kind of wrecked.
different kind of wrecked where they definitely do hold hand in hand, but I do think that sleep is a little bit more foundational. Nutrition is so important. I don't think you can outwork a bad diet. I don't think you can out-recover a bad diet, but I do think sleep is a little bit more formative.
So if you had to
Foundational.
choose nap or meal prep, you're going nap?
It depends, but I think if we are in a black and white world, then I
Yeah.
probably would, but not to say that it's not important,
Right.
if that makes sense. Is there anything when it comes to nutrition that you guys think make all the difference? Maybe it's a certain food, or maybe it's something you don't do. Maybe it is meal prepping. Something when it comes to nutrition that can really help with recovery. Maybe a keystone habit when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, the experience that I have with most of our athletes and members and clients is under eating. That can really impact your recovery, your performance, everything. And I think a lot of people don't realize that they're not eating enough protein, vegetables, and fruits, and they're not eating enough calories overall, and that does impact your total recovery for sure.
Jordan?
Carbohydrates.
Wait. I thought carbs were bad.
Nope.
I got to reduce the carbs.
Yeah.
Carbs are bad.
So I would say specifically carbohydrates. I mean, they go into it in that RP Strength book.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think, again, going back to our conversation, people think that carbohydrates are fuel for just your muscles moving. They don't understand that it's fuel for all of the processes that go on in your body.
Yes,
So in other words,
your
when you
brain,
break
yeah.
down muscle, you need energy to recover that muscle.
Right. It's not just protein.
Everybody thinks, oh, well, muscles are made of protein. It's like, okay, well, how does protein synthesis happen? Like, how do you actually
needs energy.
rebuild it, right?
Right.
Again, it's like a lawnmower with no gas. It's like, oh, I'm just going to put a ton of protein in there, and then your body
Right.
can't do anything with it.
Right.
Right. So specifically for our sport and performance as well, a lot of people are just scared to death of carbohydrates. A lot of that is due to Atkins back in the day and now keto diets.
Yes.
So
Yes.
people, I mean, I have clients, I have to talk to them all the time about, are you eating carbohydrates?
Right.
And it's just everyone thinks that the carbs are going to make them fat.
And when you say carbohydrates, what do you mean?
Pop-Tarts. Just kidding.
So I mean usually minimally processed carbohydrates. So
Like your vegetables.
For me, well, vegetables, fruits, whole grains. I'm totally fine with whole grains.
Right.
Sweet potatoes,
Sweet
white
potatoes.
potatoes.
Right.
You don't like
rice.
sweet potatoes.
I do like sweet potatoes.
I thought you had a thing with sweet potatoes.
I mean, I meal prepped them a lot, and now I'm kind of they're too much.
Oh
You
my
have
gosh.
sweet potato fatigue.
Yeah, I have fatigue.
Yeah.
Well, I think
But-
I took them through osmosis because I eat like 3 a day because I absolutely
I love a
them.
sweet potato.
I love sweet
Yeah.
potatoes.
But
Anyways,
something that has usually vitamins and minerals as well, or is minimally processed.
yeah.
So if
That's
you're
good.
thinking about like a scale, something super processed like a Pop-Tart or an Oreo is on like the very bad end of the scale. Something like an apple or oatmeal or like,
Cauliflower.
yeah, sweet potato, anything like that is on the high end.
Yeah.
And you have to find carbohydrates that work for you as well. I mean, some people, me, if I eat sweet potatoes and oatmeal all day, I'm not going to leave the bathroom. So it doesn't really matter, you know?
That's important
so
to
you-
know.
you
Sounds
do-
like a
know-
personal problem.
to know
You do have to balance, what carbohydrates you like to eat,
Right.
and find something that you like to eat as well.
So really quick, don't want to spend too much time on this, but this is in the same ballpark. When it comes to recovery and supplements, I've actually recently been getting a lot of questions about supplements and, hey, do I need to be taking these? Do I not? Because whether it's with performance or recovery, do you, just when it comes to recovery, do you recommend or will do a shameless plug on some supplements that you think, yeah, they might be beneficial? Are they necessary? Are they just icing on the cake? How does that play a factor, a role in recovery, Jill?
Yeah. There are definitely some supplements that I would recommend. I mean, to you, creatine. It's the most widely researched and recognized supplement there is. Lots of physical benefits to it. 5 milligrams a day.
And you're saying everybody. This isn't
I
if you
think
just want to
everyone.
perform.
I think so.
This
yeah.
is just your average
And I'm
person
no
working
expert
out.
or scientist, but I do listen to a lot of those people that make those recommendations, and I think creatine's a game changer.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that you get it in its purest form from a really good source, because
Yeah.
you can get some crappy stuff just like
Yeah.
with anything. And then as far as supplementation goes, I have never been a huge fan of like pre-workout and things like that. I do think there's a time and a place, maybe before a competition, maybe before going out on the platform or something, but on a daily basis, give or take, Other supplementation, in terms of protein, the very best way to get your protein in is through food sources.
Right.
If you have a hard time getting your protein in and you have exhausted the food sources and you need to supplement with protein, look at the labels, make sure you're getting really good ingredients in whatever protein supplement you use, and that would be fine. But I would not do more than 1 protein supplement a day. I've heard of people doing 5 protein bars, 5 shakes in order to get all of their protein in for the day, and that's just not the way you want to do
No.
it. You want to get it from food sources.
Well, going back to
Yeah.
what Jordan said, like minimize the processed and refined sugars when it
Right.
comes to carbohydrates. It's the same thing when it comes to supplements where
Right.
I am a firm believer that supplements are exactly that. They're a supplement. They're not the source.
Correct.
And when people are like, oh, got to get my pre-workout, got to get my post-workout, got to get my shake, got to get my all this stuff. And again, I'm not saying like I am the standard, but just a personal anecdotal piece of evidence is I was no supplements for 6 years, and I was still setting PRs. I was still having a fun time in the gym. I was still training healthy and for lots of hours in the gym because I prioritized my sleep. I got 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. I ate whole healthy foods, and I was making sure I was getting enough of them, and that was enough to sustain me. I wasn't going to the games. I wasn't doing all these
But
crazy
also,
things.
those things
but-
are so much harder to do than to drink protein shake.
Exactly.
It's the path less chosen.
Yes.
So a lot of people will choose supplementation because the others are a little bit harder.
Exactly.
I would always pick sleep, a meal prep, eat your protein from food sources versus supplementation. Another one that comes to mind is fish oil for joints and things like that. I think that's really important. But other than those, nothing really comes to mind in
Yeah.
terms of importance, like needed, necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
Jordan?
Yeah, I would say it depends on your goal. So I don't want to give like a carte blanche. Oh, everyone should be taking X, right? That's why we do one-on-one coaching and meet with our clients
That's
to
good.
actually say like, hey, your goal is to lose weight. I don't want you drinking a protein shake with carbs and creatine after a workout, right?
Right.
Another client comes to me and says, hey, I really want to gain 10 pounds of muscle. Okay, I do want you
Yes.
drinking a protein shake
Post-work.
with carbohydrates and creatine, right? So it needs to be goal-based. Like Jill said, creatine, I've taken it for 10 years.
Same.
Creatine is awesome. Protein supplements can be useful, but again, I mean, it's in the word. It's a supplement. It's probably, if you were doing like a pyramid, it's like the top 3 to 5%.
Right.
Underneath that is, food choices, macronutrient balance, and then actual total calorie intake. The people that are like, well, I drink a protein shake, so that just, eliminates me needing to eat lean meats and fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds. That's not how it works. Even like the red and green powders to some extent, I'm just not a big fan of
Right,
those.
right.
I would rather people actually eat, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, because nature's pretty awesome, right? It usually packages things how they're supposed to come. And you learn that when you start taking a lot of multivitamins. You learn about like fat soluble, water soluble vitamins. They're usually in the things that they need to be absorbed with, right? When you take them in from a natural source. But creatine is a good one. Whey protein, depending on the athlete and their goals. Caffeine can be a useful supplement for training and endurance
Man,
as well.
I supplement with that quite a bit.
Yeah, Jill's an addict of caffeine.
That's more of an intervention,
That's
Jill.
not,
We need to,
I wouldn't use the word supplement. It's something else.
Yeah,
an addiction.
but caffeine can be very helpful, especially if you've never, taken caffeine before. You obviously want to contain the amount. Going back to sleep, don't drink it after 11 or noon.
Or 4.
Unless you're Jill, and you drink 800 milligrams a day. But caffeine can be good. Fish oil, I'm kind of whatever. I've taken it. I've not taken it. It doesn't seem to help me with joints much, but a lot of people swear by it. But in general, supplements, again, I think unless you're doing the other 90% right, I don't think people need to worry about supplements
That's
and
it.
a BCAA powder. Again, pre-workout, a lot of the people that I know that take pre-workouts, the reason they take them is because they're so tired.
They're so
because they're
tired.
not sleeping well.
Yes.
Right? I never take pre-workout.
Right.
But I do
I
focus
did
on
once.
sleep.
My whole face tingled.
Yep.
Yeah, beta-alanine.
Yeah.
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 Didn't Matt Frazier say beta-alanine made him do all the things in CrossFit, and then beta-alanine was sold out?
He felt like he had a third lung on
Yeah.
beta-alanine.
I felt
Yes.
like my face was on fire.
Right.
Again, though, it's goals based, right? So going back to our programming conversation, you know how all of the knowledge for programming came from competitive athletes. A lot of the supplement stuff, like people hear Matt Frazier's taking beta-alanine. Obviously, I need to take beta-alanine to hit the 5:30 workout today. And I'm like, no, you're not Matt Frazier. You're not doing his volume, his intensity.
Right.
You probably don't need to take that stuff. So it's individualized, and you really need to think about your goals, because again, if a beta-alanine tub is $50, I would rather you buy good produce than waste $50 on beta-alanine.
And maybe an eye mask for good sleep.
Yeah, or subscribe to Whoop, right? There's better, more holistic ways to have good energy and perform well in workouts.
Agreed. Last question of the episode, and then we'll end with a fun one. Top of mind, what is one thing when it comes to recovery in general? What is one thing that you think most positively will impact your recovery? And it doesn't have to be anything like groundbreaking. It can just be a simple habit. But one thing that positively will impact your recovery, and one thing that will negatively impact your recovery that most people will do throughout the day that you just leave the listeners with. I'll go ahead and start. My most positive one is hydration, is just drinking a glass of water, specifically bookending my days. The first thing I do when I wake up is drink at least 8 to 12 ounces of water, and right before I go to bed is I drink a glass of water just to stay hydrated, because that plays a very important part of recovery that we didn't even touch on. But personally, I have never met someone that has argued with me that we need to stay hydrated, so I don't really make that claim anymore or debate that. Like, yeah, everyone knows we need to stay hydrated. No one's going to doubt that. So just being intentional about carrying a water bottle around with you, or just getting your water intake up. And I think the one thing that negatively impacts your recovery would probably be a screen. especially
At
night,
Yeah.
that whether it's blue light, whether it's work, whether it's Netflix, whether it's scrolling through Instagram, that if you were on a screen, not your phone, but a TV, iPad, laptop, or phone, at least an hour or two before you're going to bed, that is going to negatively impact your probably whole well-being.
Yeah, I mean, we utilize downtime in our house. I have it on both of my kids' devices, and then you can put it on your device as well, where your apps will basically shut down at bedtime.
Right.
And for me, that's helpful because time will get away from you when you're on your screen. And if you have something to remind you, hey, it's time to get in the bed, put this down, it's helpful.
Yes. So, Jordan, let's kick it to you. One positive, one negative.
I would say the biggest negative I can think of is alcohol.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Because-
we
that's
didn't
really
touch
good.
on that. We need a whole episode on that.
Yeah, we need a separate episode.
I know for me, again, I don't drink often, if at all now. It's very rare. And it's kind of like the lack of sleep. It's like when you do drink fairly often, I think your body gets used to it. And so you don't necessarily notice the effects. And now when I drink, I mean, it's literally like someone's poisoned me.
Yes.
I don't know how.
And it's not just feel. Your Whoop will tell you.
Yeah.
It'll show you the metrics and how
crazy.
everything decreases.
Yeah,
It's
so
crazy.
alcohol is definitely, and there are a lot of people who, again, are not weighing and measuring alcohol or whatever. You know, they don't understand how much they're consuming. So, you know, 2
Oh,
glasses.
this says it has 5 carbs. That's
Yeah.
it. You need an actual alcohol calculator.
Or they have the
Yeah.
one wine glass that's like 18 ounces, and they're like, oh, it's 1 serving, kind of like Jill does with coffee. So alcohol definitely negatively affects that because it
Yeah.
affects your sleep and it affects everything else, right? And then you're saying one positive habit that would affect
Yeah,
people?
just a simple positive habit that people can do every day that's going to impact
I would
their
say
recovery.
planned rest days and then planned rest periods. So planned rest days throughout the week. I do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on, Thursday off, Friday, Saturday on, Sunday off, and then planned rest weeks. Again, like we didn't really go deep into like the nerdy stuff in the RP Strength book about like fatigue intra-session versus chronic fatigue, but there are certain things like certain injuries and certain amounts of recovery that your body needs that it's not going to happen overnight, right? Anybody that's trained for a long time or trained competitively, like you might get to a point where the gym, like your desire to train is very low, your energy is very low, all the weights feel heavy. That's usually an indicator that you need to take some time off, right? I've experienced that myself where like a 185 snatch will feel like 225.
Yes.
You take a week off and 185 feels like 95.
Yes.
Right?
Happens every time I go on vacation.
Yeah.
You feel like you lose everything in
And
the
you
7
come
days,
back-
and you come back, you're like, hot dog.
Yeah.
I was like, PR.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I'm so with you.
I would say in general, at least 1 or 2 days off of like strict CrossFit training per week. And then once, ideally every 3 to 4 months, to just take a week off
Whole week.
completely of CrossFit.
Yeah.
And see if those nagging injuries, like, you know, people say, oh, my elbow, my knee, my hip. I'm like, well, have you taken a day off? Oh, yeah, like 2016, I took like a whole week off, right? And it's just people get confused because they think that exercise is when they get built up, when really, again, exercise is when your body is torn down.
It's a stressor.
And recovery, sleep, time off is when your body actually comes back to baseline and recovers.
That's
So
good.
planned rest and then planned like deload weeks.
Yes.
So
They're just as important. Jill?
I think you guys covered it all. I mean, I'd love to do a whole episode on alcohol and the impacts
Yeah.
that it has on all the different facets of your health. But yeah, eliminating that or, decreasing your alcohol intake is huge. And then I think a lot of things for me personally in terms of how I've been able to prioritize recovery is just planning it, like you guys said. Active recovery day, passive recovery day, body work, de-stressing, mindfulness, all the different things that are prayer.
stress management is, I mean, we could do a whole thing on stress
Yeah.
management, but like
Yeah.
people with a stressful job, again, to exercise is technically stressing the body, but you do get the endorphin hit after you exercise. So
That feels
people
good.
think, oh man, I had a hard day at work. I'm going to go in and wreck myself with a workout. Really, they're adding stress.
More stress to your body.
People
Right.
with endorphins just don't kill their husbands.
What?
I'm quoting Legally Blonde, and I'm really
Oh.
disappointed you didn't catch it.
I was about to say,
Have you ever?
I don't know if I've seen it.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Okay.
awkward.
Well, you have homework.
I have
Jordan
homework.
watched it 2 weeks ago because
did.
he was on probation until he watched it.
And
Yeah, it's
Top
on
Gun.
Netflix right
you
now.
Remember last week? I haven't seen Top Gun either.
Don't
I
tell
can't.
people that you haven't
Don't
seen
tell
that.
anyone you haven't seen it. Now everyone knows.
Everyone knows. Secrets out. Coming Strength and Fitness, we have homework. We have future episodes on stress management and alcohol that we're going to record in the future. This is all the time we have for today when it comes to recovery. Last question that I'd honestly love to see some people comment on in this episode, but also I'm going to ask Jill and Jordan here. What is one trendy or super popular thing right now that you completely disagree with? And I'm going to kick it over to Jill.
Mom jeans. So I have a teenager, and every retail store I go in, it's like, buy the mom jeans. I'm like, well, what do moms buy?
What's a mom jean? I don't even know what a mom jean is.
They're high-waisted jeans.
So mom jeans are synonymous with high-waisted jeans?
They just call them the mom jeans, and I'm offended.
Why are you offended?
Because what is a mom? I'm not going to go shop.
But
with
you are a mom.
I'm not wearing those. I'm not wearing them.
You haven't given me any logical reason why I don't like them.
I've never worn a pair of jeans that looks like that, and I don't know why I have to be looped into that jean category. Also, don't ever wear jeans.
I was going to say, we've never seen you wear jeans before, so.
Maybe twice last year.
Jordan.
Crocs.
Oh
Specifically
my
with
gosh.
Crocs with socks like you have on right there.
Listeners, listen.
I mean, it's such an
Every
eyesore.
single day, Alex wears Crocs and socks, and he's of the belief that if you ain't crocking, you ain't rocking, and I just disagree.
You know, I'm not even going to waste my breath on trying to defend them because they defend themselves.
They sure don't.
They don't need any defending because they will always reign superior over any kind of shoe
They're
apparel.
currently covered in mud.
They are currently covered in mud and totally disgusting, but they make my foot feel great. So that's definitely one I'm pro.
And you have plantar fasciitis. See, this is why I don't like Crocs. They ruin your feet and my eyes.
That's hilarious.
They ruined his eyes.
This is the last episode that we will ever invite Jill and Jordan on this
what is
episode.
yours? Did you tell us?
No, mine is charcuterie boards.
Charcuterie.
I think those are so overrated and they're just trendy because that's what everyone thinks they need to do, where it's literally just meat, cheese, and crackers
So here's
on a board.
You know what you should do? Tell people you're going to bring like a ridiculously nice charcuterie board, and then when they come over, just cut up some Slim Jims and some string cheese
That's
and
literally
be like, charcuterie.
Yes, that's literally it. I'm like, just get some
Beautiful charcuterie.
chips and guac and call it a day. You don't need to do the full spread. Just, I'm not for it.
'Kay.
But if you invite me over and you have a charcuterie board, I will gladly eat it. But I'm probably not going to have one.
Not in my house.
We're not going to have mom jeans, Crocs, or charcuterie boards here at the
Make
gym.
it in those Crocs.
Anyways, Jordan, Jill, thank you so much for this episode, your insight, your knowledge, your time, your investment here at Coming Strength and Fitness. We are better because of both of you, not because of your opinions on mom jeans and Crocs, but because of your knowledge and your passion that you bring to the gym. So, guys, thank you so much, and we will see you on another episode of the FitCast. Have a good one.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us today, friends. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and gained a greater understanding of the mission and vision of the CSNF community. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram under Coming Strength and Fitness, or hit us up on comingstrengthandfitness.com. See you next time.